The following is a sponsored program paid for by Robin Gwaltney Group-RE Results. Welcome to Rochester Real Estate, featuring Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group-RE Results and Andy Brownell. Here's Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good morning, Andy Brownell, News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group-RE Results. Robin, good to see you.
Nice to see you as well. And I brought along a guest today.
Another guest. Wonderful. You want to do the introduction?
Sure. I brought along Amanda Bussell Rabe, from Home Federal. And Amanda's going to talk to us a little bit later in the show about a lot of the things that they can offer at Home Federal. Not only is Amanda one of my preferred lenders, but she is my personal banker and friend. So I trust her to the fullest.
All right. That's a heck of an endorsement right there. But before we get going on that, I know we wanted to spend a few minutes talking about something that we might forget about this time of the year because everybody's so busy with the holidays.
Yeah,
but,
10 days till Christmas Eve. You ready?
No, of course not. I haven't even started. What
Andy.
are you talking about? But this is one of the worst times of the year for fires and carbon monoxide accidents, just a lot of tragedies that do occur this time of the year, and it's a good time to think about ways to have that not happen.
Well, winter snuck up on a lot of us, and a lot of us, even though all fall, I said make sure you get somebody from HVAC in to check out your furnace. A lot of people have good intentions, and then they never do that. So sometimes, you have a furnace. I had it in my very own house because this fall I did have mine checked, and I didn't have a cracked... what's the thing?
Heat exchanger.
Yeah, I didn't have a cracked heat exchanger, but I had a plugged heat exchanger. Oh. And we thought there was something wrong with it because just to touch the furnace, it was really hot to the touch. And I thought, that can't be right. So we called Haley's Comfort System. They had installed it. They came in and they're like, oh, yeah, you have a plugged heat exchanger. So thank goodness we replaced that furnace, before winter hit us hard, and we're good. But he told me my carbon monoxide level was like 3 times where it should be, although it wasn't still dangerous, terribly dangerous.
But it still could build up.
Right, and luckily it was going out the exhaust pipe, whatever. And we didn't have our furnace on, right, because it was just September or October. But yeah, it could have been dangerous. So it made me think that, and also, I love candles. I like candles. I've gone to these Luminera battery-operated ones because they look beautiful.
They do. I
and
agree.
They feel like wax, and they're not going to burn my house down.
From 5 feet away, I contend you cannot tell the difference.
I know. They're really, really nice. So I would say switch to those and forget about the real candles because there are other things that can bring the nice scents into your house. But if you are using the real candles, just be smart and use the candles in a jar and make sure you're blowing them out, right? And make sure you've got good batteries in your smoke detectors and in your carbon monoxide detectors because, like you say, there's a lot of commotion going on. We get really busy and you have a house full of company. And years ago when Scott and I lived at the RBC house, we had a big open house, and I asked one of the students, to light all the candles. And he walked around the house and lit all the candles, and I walked around the house and blew them all out. So I thought.
Oh, no.
There was one that was in like a horse and sleigh sitting on top of the piano, and they were little candles that looked like Christmas gifts, and I really never lit those, but I did tell him to literally light all of the candles.
He found all of them.
So he lit those, and then what they did is they didn't even have a flame. They were just kind of melting into the inside of the candle, so I didn't even notice them. So we went to bed with them lit, and we woke up to a fire in the house.
Goodness.
Yeah, it was really scary. So I'll tell you what, I'm just really nervous about the candles. As much as I love the way they look, I love the way they smell, I say go the Luminera route.
Talk to firefighters, and they'll tell you that the curtain that nobody realizes is right next to a candle, and somebody forgets about it in the middle of the night. Poof, it goes up, and it goes fast.
Well, luckily, we did have smoke detectors, and the smoke detector went off, and we heard it, and Scott looked down the hall, and he saw orange, and we were like, oh, my gosh. And we had smoke fire extinguishers in the house. So he got that and he got the flames out, and I called 911 and the fire department came, and they were still concerned because it's an old house, and you know that old electrical throughout the walls. They're like, if anything got in here, we just need to be sure. So I had to wake up 6 teenage sleeping boys and 2 pre-teenagers. That was a lot of fun. They couldn't quite understand why they had to get up, go out in the cold and sit in the car, but, safety first.
A night you will never forget.
That's for sure.
And you mentioned carbon monoxide detectors. A high school classmate of mine, and this has been quite a few years, but it's still, at this time of the year, reminds me of this. The anniversary wasn't that long ago, but she lost her young sons. They moved into a home, and the furnace was faulty, and there were no carbon monoxide detectors, and, in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
some of the family members got out, but the little boys didn't, and it didn't happen here in Rochester. It happened up in northern Minnesota, but she's back living in Rochester, and she's... if you don't have a carbon monoxide detectors in your house, she'd be the one to remind you right away. And so I'll pass along that reminder for her.
Yeah, great.
It's that important.
Yeah, it's super important.
Yeah. And also, did we mention Christmas trees?
Yeah.
My Christmas tree? It's like a half a gallon of water a day it's pulling in.
Oh, so you still do the real one. Yeah. You know me, I'm the Christmas tree Nazi, and I love my Christmas trees, and I have 4 of them, but they're artificial because I don't want any imperfections. I don't want any mud or any dirt or any ice. So I say, who needs that real Christmas tree besides being a fire hazard?
They are a fire hazard.
Yeah, you got to make sure you keep them well watered.
Yeah, not every other day. You better be checking them every day.
Somebody at work told me that they caught their dog drinking the Christmas tree water. I'm like, that isn't good.
So, yeah, everybody. And I know we wanted to mention that later today, Amanda, you know something more about this, right? There's a benefit going on.
Yep. I found an ad that this afternoon there was a family in Rushford that suffered a bad fire. People were injured and the house had burned down. So I noticed that there is a benefit later this afternoon. I can't tell you what time at the Eagles Club.
Okay.
So I think anybody who can get there and help support the family.
Right.
Great.
If
They lost
everybody just
everything.
gives a little bit, it makes such a big difference.
And the story that the Cords family we're talking about, and the father rushed in to save the kids. And I know one of the little baby is still hospitalized.
Yes, as far
And
as I've
suffered
seen.
pretty bad burns. And
Yeah.
and they lost everything in that fire.
And it's
so
the season to give, and if we can all just help a little bit to families like that and families in need, it makes such a difference, and it makes the holidays, truly what the holidays are.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice. I'll definitely try to get over there.
Okay, so we're going to talk banking and some of the differences between maybe mortgage lenders and banks.
And there's a huge difference, and I think a lot of people don't understand, especially when they're first-time home buyers and they're coming to me and they say, where do I get my loan, or what do I have to do to get my loan? And of course, that I will always send them in the direction of somebody that's going to be very qualified and going to take really good care of them. But it's not always the same answer for each buyer, because each buyer needs something just a little bit different, and each lending institution offers something just a little bit different. So I guess I would like Amanda to speak to some of the things that banks do for buyers and borrowers, I should say, that mortgage brokers can't.
Yeah, that's a great topic. At Home Federal Savings Bank, we're a full financial institution, so we can offer everything from a mortgage loan and every type of mortgage loan that's out there, from VA, first-time home buyers, FHA. We also have some internal programs as well for people who don't fall into the standard secondary market guidelines. But along with the difference between a bank and, say, just a mortgage company, we can offer programs such as a land loan. We can offer equity loans, lines of credit. And the biggest thing is we can also offer what we would call a credit builder loan. So anybody who has poor credit and needs to work towards that over the next 12 months, we have programs like that available. So we're kind of a full-service bank and can kind of give them ideas and things that they can do to improve their credit, and then we can offer those services right in our same office as well.
Okay, so when we come back, we'll learn more about some of the things you've just mentioned.
Great.
Robin Gwaltney's here from Gwaltney Group-RE Results. We'll be back in just a moment on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM. Welcome back to Rochester Real Estate with Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group, RE/MAX Results, and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Welcome back. Andy Brownell, News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM. And, of course, Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group, RE/MAX Results, and Amanda Bussell Rabe from Home Federal Savings Bank.
Good morning.
So I was thinking that I mentioned, first-time home buyers have a lot of questions, but I thought about something when we were on the break. I had a client probably in her 70s, and she had a place over in Wabasha on the river, and she had called me about selling it for her. And she told me she wanted to buy a condo in Rochester, and I said, oh, sure, I can help you do that. And so I went and met with her, and then she said, oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it now. And I said, oh, why is that? And she goes, the logistics of it all. She said, I've already bought a place in Arizona, and so I have a mortgage there, and I just live on my pension, my retirement, whatever, so I wouldn't qualify for another mortgage, and I would have to sell my house in Wabasha, have my money before I can buy. That's what I was told. And I said, okay. And she said, but then what do I do with my stuff, and where do I stay? And this is just all overwhelming.
Complexities.
I think I'll just stay right here. She said, this is just too much. And I said, well, why don't you call Amanda at Home Federal and just talk to her, because I have a feeling that maybe there might be other avenues. And of course, she didn't owe money on that house, so it was easy for Amanda to give her what did you call that then?
We call it a bridge loan.
Okay, and so you just took her equity, let her buy the condo here, and then she was able to take her time, move out, and then after she was all settled in, then we sold the one on the river, and it was piece of cake. But she was literally going to just
like that piece of cake.
It was, and she was totally just going to abort the whole idea of doing it because of what one lender told her.
Okay. Well, maybe to start with, Amanda, what is a bridge loan?
Yep. So a bridge loan kind of replaces the gap of financing that is needed between selling one home and buying another home. So it worked really great in this case, where the client owed no money on her existing home and had enough equity in there, including cash that she had on hand, to purchase the condo here in the Rochester area. So a bridge loan is super flexible. There's interest-only payments, so the payment flexibility while you're trying to transition is a super positive. Also, the closing costs. The closing costs are super minimal. We can waive any origination fees. There's no high doc prep or underwriting fees. It's kind of third-party closing costs to help cover the expenses we have into it. So basically, we use the equity in one house to make the purchase on the new home while they're in that new home and making the move, so they don't have to put their furniture or belongings into storage and technically move twice.
And just get you overwhelmed. I mean,
Right.
She was just overwhelmed by the thought of
Yes,
it.
the timing everything,
Right.
when you have to time a sale to a purchase, that's stressful on everybody involved. So the bridge loan is a really great option. We offer it. We do it quite a bit. It's a lifesaver for many, many people.
So it's a short term.
It's a short term, which we consider 12 months or less.
Okay.
So it's not that short term, so that gives them time to move.
Yeah.
Then to maybe do any improvements to the house that they're selling as recommended by their real estate agent, and then list it. And if it takes 6 months, that's okay. It's interest-only payments. They're super minimal while the transition is happening.
And then when you sell the other house, then it all gets paid off.
Yep.
And for a lot of the clients, it's easy because they hate the thought of putting their house on the market with their hectic schedule and taking the kids here and going there, and then the idea of having to keep the house in picture perfect showing condition while people come in to see it, or like in our hot market where it's just a steady flow of traffic through for the first weekend or 4 or 5 days. And so it's like, oh, you know what, we're just going to get into our new place and then get all the things that we need out and get this one staged and then do away with what we don't want. It's a really good stepping stone. It's a really good process.
Does it require that they have the original home completely paid off, or is it a matter
Not
of
always.
equity?
No, it's just about the amount of equity
Okay.
in the house. And so sometimes people don't have to have their house paid for, and we would do a bridge loan just to fund a down payment on the new home. So that's another way that we can use that. If they have a lot of equity but they don't have the cash in their pocket to use as the down payment on the new home, we also use the bridge loan for that as well.
Wow. A lot of things I hadn't even thought about.
Another thing that I learned about that, I would have not known, I'm sure, if I didn't work in the industry, is that Home Federal is one of the places that will do a loan that can include money for improvements. So can you speak to how that works, Amanda?
Yeah, we would call that maybe a purchase with improvements. So if you're buying a house that needs $75,000 worth of work, siding, windows, that's often tough for people because, to buy a house and put a sizable or a smaller amount of money down, some lenders would just require that they need to have that, say, $75,000 in cash available. Not that many people have that. So,
especially not buying that house price range.
Right.
It's not even realistic.
Right. So we would call it a purchase with improvements type of a loan. So we would go to closing on the loan. And of course, prior to that, the buyer would need to provide bids and estimates to show the cost, to make sure we have the money there to cover the actual cost. But the initial closing does the purchase of the home. And it's kind of like a line of credit then that's set up that they draw on as they make the improvements. And then upon completion, we do a final inspection to make sure what they said they were going to do is done. And then we modify that loan into a permanent financing loan.
Oh, okay.
So it's very streamlined. There's a lot of flexibility. Again, it's another product that many people just don't know is available.
I had no idea you could do that.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is that for whatever reason, people find it intimidating to call and set up an appointment with a lender to ask these questions. And it's like, they're our friends. They're not our enemies. Yes. They want to help us.
They want your business. Yeah.
Yes, of course. And so the thing is that one of my favorite things about Amanda is, you can probably tell this in this short amount of time, Andy, is she's very approachable and very kind. So if people come in and maybe their credit has taken some hits or they're not in perfect condition, she's not going to sit across the table with her arms folded, shooting darts at them like, how did you get yourself into this situation?
Well, that's what it's like in the movies.
Yeah, exactly. She's there to help them. And I've seen that. I've brought clients in that situation to her, and I've seen her in action. And they leave feeling so much better about themselves and about the potential of the future.
Yeah, and the idea that there are these creative options available to pursue that,
yes.
Instead of, because I always just think, okay, you got the mortgage,
Right.
That's it.
That's one of my biggest recommendations. If you're looking to buy your first home or sell your existing home and buy a new one, go talk to a mortgage banker right away. It should be one of the very first things you do before pursuing anything, because there's so many misconceptions and people just really need to know the facts. I have people who come and see me and say, I don't know that I can do this because my credit's not that good. And I say, well, let's talk about it and let's actually just see. Let's see right now. And I often turn and say, your credit is amazing. What are you talking about? I didn't really know. They don't understand credit like we do. But I also see the opposite, where people say, we already have the home picked out. We know what we want. We know what we can afford. My credit's great. And we pull it. And it's like,
not that great.
Actually, there's no products out there that will even approve you for a loan. As flexible as we are,
wow.
We are predicting that it's going to take 3 months, 6 months, or a year for you to get there. But we have ways to help you get there, and that's what we want to do. We want to work with you now and be realistic that this may take a year, but then at least people know. So just go talk to a banker. This is what we do. This is why we do it. We love it.
So we talk about the credit rating. You can sit down and say, these are steps that you need to take now.
Yep.
So 3 months from now, you
right.
can be here.
Yep. Your score is here. This is our goal, and here's how we're going to get there. We also have a credit builder loan. So anybody who has poor credit, we can give you a loan and actually get you a trade line on your credit report that helps you build up your credit. So what our product can do too is if there's some collections or debts that aren't paid, we could add up the amount of what those collections are. Say they totaled $4,000. We would give you a $4,000 loan and have that paid back in a year. And in that year's time, you would have built up a 12-month history on a credit trade line, something that appears on your credit report to say, wow, you've paid as agreed all year. That's a great history. But you also have a $4,000 savings account at the end, and now we're going to pay all those debts off. Now all of those debts are cleaned up. So that's a huge product too. And so we just have so many different options that people aren't aware of. And I mean, at Home Federal, we consider ourselves the mortgage experts. We have the answers and we have the products. We don't need to outsource you or tell you, go here and do this, go see this person here, let me call this person and see what they can do. So there's just so much out there that we just say, go talk to a banker.
All right.
A mortgage lender, sorry.
We're going to learn more about all these different options and products and creative solutions, I guess,
Yes.
when we come back. We have to take a really quick break. Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX results on News Talk 1340, KROC AM, and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340, KROC AM, and 96.9 FM. Welcome back to Rochester Real Estate with Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Welcome back. I'm Andy Brownell with News Talk 1340 KROC AM 96.9 FM with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Result, and Amanda Bussell Rabe from Home Federal Savings Bank. And man, oh man, I'm learning a lot today.
Geez, now you're not only going to be an expert in real estate,
Yeah.
you're going to be an expert in banking as well. Pretty soon your head's not going to fit in this room anymore.
Yeah.
Last week you win an award from the mayor. I
Oh,
mean,
gosh.
what is this?
It's a whirlwind.
Oh, Andy.
But it's interesting to sit down with you, Amanda, and my eyes are open because some of these products I'd never heard of before, and some of the options we have. But also, this goes back to the fundamental thing that I learned from one of the first shows that we did together was before you go on this mission or this
So, house
journey,
hunt, yeah.
get together with a mortgage banker or a banker to talk about the finances of things.
Exactly. When people call me and say, I'm ready to buy a house, my first question is, have you been pre-approved? And if they say yes, I say, great. You know, what are you pre-approved for? Are you comfortable with that payment? If they say no, that's just fine too, because then I, of course, send them in the direction of somebody that, you know, one of my preferred lenders. I like to work with the really competent people that have great follow through and deliver on what they promise. So I like it when I get to handpick my the lenders for my, at least send them in the right direction.
Well,
I always give them a couple of names and let them talk and make their own decision, but at least they're all really competent lenders that they get to choose from, and I like that.
You've told me that's one of the keys to a smooth
Such an important piece.
transaction.
Such an important piece. I mean, I've had deals where we get right down to the wire and all of a sudden the lender's like, oh, this isn't going to happen. I'm like, what? How is this happening now? So it's a nightmare. But, you know, there are certain lenders that when we're working with them, I've heard Amanda say, you know, 5 times this morning, at that point, call a mortgage lender. And I would just reiterate, call Amanda because she's really, really good at what she does. But it's funny because on this last break, we were talking about how you can get approved for one thing when you clearly can comfortably afford another thing. And Amanda takes that same approach as I do. It's like we want to put you into something that you're really comfortable paying for. Correct, Amanda?
Yes. At Home Federal, we're all about relationship banking. We really, truly care about our clients and want them to be successful. It's not just about getting a $400,000 loan and moving on to the next person. It's about growing in a relationship, being their mortgage banker. They have questions. They have your personal cell phone. They have your personal email, your work email, your, you know, direct call. But I and the lenders in my office and even in all of Home Federal really care about not setting people up into loans that they're going to fail in, and you can easily still do that nowadays. So the first question people ask me when they come into my office is, what do I qualify for? And my immediate question back to them is, what can you comfortably afford for a payment? And I also sometimes say, what's your ideal monthly payment? And then what's your maximum? And then we back into it there, because what we can qualify for people can just be ridiculously crazy. And I know somebody who would go after a house like that would be house broke. So we kind of back into it another way to say, this is your ideal payment, but you said you could afford up to this much. So when you go work with Robin and look at houses, you could say, Amanda said we should be looking at 200. But if we run into a property that's up to 240, we can pull the trigger with you and sign that contract on the spot. No worries. We don't have to go back to her and ask.
Yeah.
Can we do a little bit more? Because, you know, Robin, you see that too, that people always go a little bit higher than what they think.
And I
they
always
want.
say, listen, if you're approved for 250, let's look and see what's out there between 180 and 200. Because if we can find something in that price range that you like, then you're going to feel really good about it. You're going to have less financial stress. It's going to just make a happier beginning. And trust me, instead of calling me in 5 years to say, we hate each other, we're stressed out financially, we're getting a divorce, you're going to call me to say, oh my God, we've loved this house, but we're going to have another baby and we're ready for a bigger one, or whatever it is. You know, it makes a difference. So it is, Amanda's exactly right. It's all about taking care of our clients and building that relationship and really helping them make a good decision for them.
Do you, in your conversations with your the folks looking to buy homes, do they, I guess, come in low or high on what they think they can afford when you calculate it
Both.
out? Oh, really?
Both. Some people kind of have an idea of maybe how you calculate a payment. I've had people think that you just take the house amount divided by 360, but that doesn't include interest, taxes, insurance, and it goes vice versa. And that's why I say go to talk to a banker, because some people say, I think I can only afford up to $100,000. No, based upon what you can qualify for and what you want to afford, that's a $225,000 house, and that's a whole separate area and type of housing that Robin's going to look for you. It goes both ways.
And, you know, the thing that people forget is that interest rate is such a factor, because what that interest rate has such an effect on what that monthly payment's going to be.
And they're crazy low right now.
They are crazy low right now.
People can afford much more.
Merry Christmas to all of us. Yeah, it's great.
Well, Amanda, if somebody wanted to call you up at Home Federal Savings Bank, how do they do that?
Yep, I am located at our Civic Center Drive office. It's kitty corner from Barlow Plaza Hy-Vee. It's our corporate office there. I'm located on the first floor. You could reach me there.
Stop in. She's usually in there.
Yes.
So
Every
walk
day.
in the lobby and say, hey.
Every day, yes.
And do you have a phone number that you'd want to share?
Yes, 507-280-3433, or you can reach out to me by email. It's amanda.rabe@hfsb, which stands for Home Federal Savings Bank.com.
And of course, if you want to get the ball rolling on a home purchase, or you have a home you wish to sell or look into that, how do we get a hold of you, Robin?
My cell phone's always on. You know that, Andy. 507-259-4926.
Fantastic. Thanks, Robin.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Amanda.
Until next week, I'm Andy Brownell on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.